Alright friends, how y'all doing? If I had to guess, I would say we're probably all chilling, right? Okay, today we have the privilege of learning together Daf Yud Daled of Masechta Berachos. We are going to start on Daf Yud Gimel, Amud Beis, about 2, 4, 6, 7 lines from the bottom, where it says Uva Prakim Shal V'chule. Okay, if you remember back in the Mishnah, we were talking about what kind of interruptions are you allowed to have during the brachos of Kriyat Shema and Kriyat Shema itself. We talked about there are differences between if we're in the middle of the paragraph or the middle of the bracha versus if we're in between paragraphs or in between brachos. So this is what we're talking about right now. So Meshiv Machmasmai, right? So Rabbi Meir had said that in the, what are we talking about? In the middle or in between? In the in-between prakim. So it says that in between prakim, you are allowed to be shoel mipnei ha-kavod, out of, right, you can initiate a greeting to somebody who you feel that you should be giving honor to, and you can respond. Okay, so the question is, what are you able to respond to? So if you're saying that you're allowed to respond to somebody who you want to show honor to, well, hashta mishal sha'il. Well, of course, meaning you're even allowed to initiate a greeting to somebody who you want to honor. Obviously, if that person initiates a greeting, you would be allowed to respond to his greeting, right? To initiate is a bigger chiddush. So no, what it means is that according to Rabbi Meir, in between paragraphs, you are allowed to initiate a greeting to somebody who you want to show honor to, and if anybody initiates a greeting with you, you can respond to them. But then the Gemara says, 1 second, but this is getting sort of suspicious, because Ema Seifa. Let's continue on in Rabbi Meir's opinion. In the middle of the paragraph, you are allowed to initiate a greeting to somebody who you fear for your life. If you, that you're scared that if you get caught not saying hello to this person, he will try to kill you. Maybe something like a Haman kind of a person, right? So Umeshiv Machmasmai. We say, and you are allowed to respond. Allowed to respond because of what? Ilema mipnei ayira. If you're saying that you're allowed to respond out of fear, so if there's somebody who you fear passes by, you can initiate a greeting, and if they initiate a greeting with you, you can respond. You're even allowed to, if you're allowed to initiate the greeting towards this person, of course you'd be allowed to, it goes without saying that you'd be allowed to respond to this person. No, you can even respond out of kavod. So what Rabbi Meir is saying is that in the middle of a paragraph or in the middle of a bracha, you can initiate a greeting to somebody who you fear, and you could respond to somebody who you honor. Okay? Fine. So, Hainu Rabbi Yehuda, but then that is literally exactly Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, right? If we explain Rabbi Meir the way that we just explained the last few lines, Rabbi Meir is then identical to Rabbi Yehuda. Titnan, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says, Be'emtza shalom pnei ayira. In the middle of the paragraph, you can initiate a greeting out of fear, and you can respond to somebody who you honor, who you want to honor. And in between paragraphs or brachos, you can initiate a greeting out of honor, and you can respond to anybody you want. That's literally what we just said about Rabbi Meir. So, if we explain Rabbi Meir the way we just tried to explain him, he's literally saying the same thing as Rabbi Yehuda. Now, obviously, he can't be saying the same thing as Rabbi Yehuda because they're arguing in the Mishnah. They must be saying differing things. So Ella, so the Gemara says, last word of the third line from the bottom, Chasure mechsera v'hachi katani. 1 second. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I just skipped anything. But Chasure mechsera v'hachi katani, right? So basically, the Mishnah is missing a few crucial words, and this is what the Mishnah is really saying. We're giving you the secret scoop of what the Mishnah is saying. But prakim shalom pnei hakavod ve'ein tzarich lomar shehu meshiv. No. So what Rabbi Meir is saying in the Mishnah is that in between paragraphs, you are allowed to initiate a greeting for somebody who you honor, and of course it goes without saying that you can respond to that person. And in the middle of a bracha or in the middle of a paragraph of Shema, you can initiate a greeting to somebody who you fear. And obviously it goes without saying that you can respond to that person. Div Rabbi Meir. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda be'emtza shalom pnei ayira u'meishiv pnei hakavod. In the middle of the paragraph, you can initiate a greeting to somebody who you fear, and you could respond simply to somebody who you honor. And in between paragraphs, you can initiate a greeting out of for somebody who you honor. Umeshiv shalom l'chol adam. But in terms of responding, you could respond to absolutely anybody. That is the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Tanya Nami Hachi, we also learn in the Brisa exactly like this. Hakarei Shema, somebody who's reading the Shema. Ufagabot Rabo, Ogadol Imenu, and he bumps into his teacher or somebody greater than him. So what does he do? So if it's baprakim, if it's in between paragraphs, Shalom Pnei Kavod, no problem. This is the person he honors, he can initiate a greeting. And it goes without saying that he can respond to that person. And if it's in the middle of a paragraph or a bracha, so Shoel Mipnei Ayira, you can initiate the greeting out of fear. Okay? And it goes without saying that you could respond out of fear. This is Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Be'emtza Shalom Pnei Ayira. Rabbi Yehuda says that no, if it's in the middle, you can initiate a greeting out of fear. Umeshiv Pnei Kavod, you can respond out of honor alone. Whereas in between the paragraphs or in between the blessings, you can initiate a greeting to somebody who you honor, and if anybody says hello to you, you could respond to them. Very good, fine. We've just resolved that. That's good. So Echi, the teacher in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Chia, asked Rabbi Chia. Remember, these people have come up a few times, right? There were these teachers that would be in the Beis Medrash, and they would like teach brises, and they would talk about it and stuff like that. So this teacher, this person would just kind of come and teach a brisa, and then they would discuss it. So this teacher, whose name was Echi, he asked a question from Rabbi Chia. If you're saying halal, right? So now, of course, halal, like we say on Rosh Chodesh, on festivals, things like that. So it starts with a bracha and it ends with a bracha. So what? And then you have the halal in the middle. The same thing with the Megillah. You say a bracha before the Megillah. You say a bracha when you conclude the Megillah, and in the middle you read the Megillah. So what's with like talking in the middle of halal or talking in the middle of reading the Megillah? So ma'u sheyafsik. So the Haggadah Sabach adds the word mi, which makes it read a little bit nicer. So mi amrinan, do we say kal v'chomer? We'll say this, a kal v'chomer. Kriyas Shema de oraisa posek hal de rabbanan mibaya. Kriyas Shema, which is a mitzvah de oraisa, we say that you can make, you can interrupt them, depending on, obviously if you're in the middle or if you're in between, there are rules about how to interrupt, but you are allowed to interrupt. So hal d'Rabbanan mibaya, halal, which is only midrabbanan, right? It's not, you don't say, it's not a scriptural requirement to say halal. It's a rabbinic requirement. So then certainly you would be able to make, interruptions based on, if you're in the middle, if obviously in the middle or in between, but you would be allowed, it's not like you have to zip your lips and you can't respond to anybody or initiate to anybody. Or perhaps, halal might not be mid'oraisa, but there is an aspect of, we say halal because we want to publicize the miracle that happened. That's why we say halal on Purim or whatever. We want to publicize and make a whole thing about the miracle that happened, and therefore that makes it gives it added significance. And in order to make sure that we're going to treat it properly, we say you cannot make any hefseks whatsoever. Okay, fine. Amalei posek ve'ein b'chach klum. So Rabbi Chia responded, no, it's cool. You can make hefsekos. I assume the same rules as would be by Kriyas Shema, in the middle of the paragraph versus in between paragraphs. But whatever it would be by Kriyas Shema, it would be by Halal and Megillah as well. Amar Rabba, says Rabba, Yom Sha'yachid Gomer Bayin Esa Halal. Right. So on the days that we have a chiyuv to say Halal, and Rashi says that there are 21 such days. Honestly, I'm not really sure what these 21 such days are. Do they include Rosh Chodesh? Because if it includes Rosh Chodesh, then you have 12 or arguably even 13, depending on the year, just right there, which means that you only have 8 or 9 more of these days left. And if you're going to think about Pesach and Sukkot and things like that, you're really going to run out of days. So maybe it doesn't include Rosh Chodesh, but I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, so on these days where there's a chiyuv to read Hallel, so in Ben Perek LePerek Posek, so in between the prakim, you are allowed to make hefseks. Okay, I don't know if it's made pnei yira or pnei kavod. I'm not exactly sure. Be'emtza perek eno posek. In the middle of the perek, you're not allowed to make a hefsek, I guess, whatsoever. Okay. And on the days where there's no chiyuv to read Hallel, afilu be'emtza perek posek, even in the middle of the perek, you're allowed to interrupt. Okay, fine. All right, very good. I mean, but if there's no chiyuv to read Hallel, then mistama you're not making a bracha, and if you're not making a bracha, then you're just reading Tehillim. If you're just reading Tehillim, then of course you could interrupt. I'm not exactly sure. Ini, is this really the case? But Rav Bar Shiva ikla legabe Ravina. But 1 second, there was a story where Rav Bar Shiva visited Ravina. And it was a day when there was no chiyuv to be reading Hallel. V'lo pasakle. And yet Ravina didn't interrupt his Hallel for Rav Bar Shiva. So that would sound like even on days where there's no chiyuv to read Hallel, you still wouldn't interrupt. So the Gemara says, no, that's not really proof. Shani Rav Shiva to Locha Shiva le Ravina. Rav Shiva is different because Ravina wasn't, it's an interesting thing to think about, but Ravina didn't really think too much about Rav Shiva, so he didn't interrupt. He figured Rav Bar Shiva will just wait until I'm done reading Hallel, and then we'll deal with it. But it's not because he wasn't allowed to interrupt, he just didn't want to interrupt. Okay. Ashyan, Tanit Rabbi Ami. So Ashyan, the teacher in the academy of Rabbi Ami, said to Rabbi Ami, or he asked Rabbi Ami, Hashoy b'tainis ma'u shiyitom. If somebody's fasting, and then he's cooking dinner for after the fast, is he allowed to taste it to see if things are coming out good? So do we say, do we say, look, he, when he's fasting, he accepted upon himself that he's not going to eat and he's not going to drink. This isn't considered eating and drinking. This is tasting, right? Eating and drinking means, I don't know, I guess it assumes a certain amount of sitting down to a meal. This is literally just tasting it to see if it needs more salt, right? But maybe you could say that when a person accepts upon themselves to fast, they're saying, I'm not going to get any benefit from food. And here, assuming he's making something tasty, he's going to be getting benefit. So Rabbi Ami says, no, it's cool. You could taste what you're cooking and it's no problem. We talk also in a brayso like this. That somebody who's tasting something, you don't have to make a bracha. Okay, now the question is also how to define tasting, right? Is that if you're like tasting wine and spitting, you don't need to make a bracha? Or is it like, or even if you swallow? So, I don't know. And also somebody who is in a fast can taste what he's cooking and it's no problem. Ad kama, how much can you taste? Rabbi Ami, Rabbi Asi, Tame ad shir vi'asa. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi would taste up to a revius worth of stuff, and that would still be considered tasting, and that is all good. Amar Rav, Zot Rav, somebody who who greets his friend before he prays, it's as if he has built a bama. What's a bama? A bama is just like a makeshift altar. Throughout our history, there have been certain times when you would be allowed to just make a makeshift altar, like in your backyard or whatever, take an animal, slaughter it, offer it on the mizbeach, and that was just like a nice thing for God. Now, then there were different periods where there was, so when you were allowed to do it, it was called heter, shas heter bamos, a time when bamos were allowed. Then there's other times, such as now, which is shas isur bamos, where you're not allowed to make a bama. And so now making a bama wouldn't be so good. Or maybe even it's talking about like a bama for like avodah zarah, maybe even like you would make like this little altar for avodah zarah, but I'm not sure about that. But in any event, it's not a good thing. So Shenemar, as the pasuk says, so this is actually a cool pasuk. First, I'm going to read it outside of the context of the Gemara because it's cool, and then we'll read it inside the context of the Gemara. So what this pasuk says is chidu lachem, right? Basically, the Navi Yeshaya is saying, people, get away from avodah zarah. Chidu lachem, get away from avodah zarah. Why? What's the argument to get away from avodah zarah? Because mina adam asher neshama ba'apo ki bameh nechshav hu. Because if you even just think about people have a neshama, people have a spirit, people have life in them, and yet their spirit leaves them, they die, they go into the ground, they're eaten by maggots, right? Kal v'chomer, this avodah zarah that doesn't even have a spirit in it, it should be, useless. So therefore, get away from avodah zarah. The Gemara learns it like this. So chidlu lachem, get away from avodah zarah. Min adam neshama ba'apo, fine. Ki bameh nechshavu, al tikre bameh ela bama. The Gemara says, don't say bameh nechshavu, right? What is this person? What does he amount to? What does he add up to? But rather bama. He's considered like a bama. So basically, he reads like this: stay away from a person before you've davened, ki bama nechshavu, because if you say hello to him, it'll be like you made him into a bama. Ushmuel Amar, bameh chashavta lezeh v'lo le'eloah. right? Whereas Shmuel says he reads it the normal way. He says bamem nechshavu, right? What is he considered? I.e., how important is this person that you've considered him before you've considered your God? Masav Rav Sheshes, but Rav Sheshes asks a brilliant question. He says, "Ba'prakim shalom pnei hakavod u'meishiv." In the Mishnah, we said that if it is in between paragraphs of Shema, let's say, you are allowed to say hello. You're allowed to greet somebody, out of kavod. So Shema is before Shmon Esrei, right? We say Shema, and then we say like Gal Yisrael, then we say Shmon Esrei, and yet we're saying in the Mishnah you can greet somebody. So what's the deal? I thought we just said that if you greet somebody before you pray, then it's like you built like an illegal altar. Yet the Mishnah is saying that you're allowed to greet people under certain circumstances before you pray. So Tirgamat Rabbi Abba b'mashmul Pischos. So Rabbi Abba says, when is it a problem to greet somebody? It's if you go to the guy's house before Shacharis, and you have a coffee and chill out before davening. So that might maybe not be so good. But there are other people who specifically make a point to meet up with friends before davening, accept upon themselves like v'afta l'recha kamocha, and then daven after that. So but I guess that would not be necessarily in line with this Gemara, at least, let's say. Fine. So Amar Rav Idi bar Avin, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashyan, right? So it says Rav Idi bar Avin in the name of Rav Yitzchak bar Ashyan. A person is not allowed to, do his own stuff, before he prays. You should pray. The first thing you should do should be to pray. First, do tzedek. First, pray and make yourself righteous before God, and then and then go do your own stuff. Rav Idi bar Avin, Amar Rav Yitzchak, and says bar Ashan, and also says Rav Idi bar Avin in the name of Yitzchak bar Ashan, somebody who prays first and then he goes out and he travels or does whatever he does, HaKadosh Baruch Hu oseh lo chafatzav. So then the Eibishter is going to work it out with him that whatever he desires, it's going to be successful. Shneimar tzedek l'fanav yahalech. First, pray to God and make yourself righteous. And then, I guess via same derech pamav, and God will emplace your steps on the right way. I guess He will make sure that wherever you're going works out real good. Amar Biona, Amar Abzera, shivas yom b'lo chalom nikra ra. Somebody who sleeps for 7 days and doesn't have any dreams for 7 days straight, it's called bad. Shneimar, it says v'saveh yalin bal yipaked ra. So what's this pasuk? This is a cool pasuk. It says, it's a pasuk from Mishlei. Yiras Hashem l'chaim. If you have Yiras Hashem, it's going to bring life. V'saveh yalin, you'll always go to sleep satisfied, satiated. Bal yipaked ra, and you won't be remembered for bad. Okay, fine. Al tikrei saveya, says the Gemara, ela sheva. Don't read it saveya, which means satisfied. Rather, read it sheva, which means 7. So if we read the pasuk like that, it means v'sheva yalin. If you sleep for 7 times, bal yipaked, and you don't have any dreams, you don't get remembered with a dream, God doesn't remember to give you a dream, ra, that's bad. Okay, interesting. Fine. Amar Rav Achabre de Rabbi Chia bar Abba, and now Rav Achabre de Rabbi Chia bar Abba said to, I guess, Rabbi Yonah Amar Rabbi Zera, Hachi Amar Rabbi Chia Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Chia, my father, said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Kol masbia atzmo midivrei Torah. Anybody who satiates himself from words of Torah, vilan, and then goes to sleep, ein machshirin, ein mevasin also besoros raos. We don't give him any bad tidings. Shneimar v'saveh yalin. If you go to sleep satiated from words of Torah, bal yipaked ra, you won't have any sort of negative stuff. Sounds very, very nice. So now we say these are examples of what it means to be between paragraphs. Okay. Amar Rabbi Abahu, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Zakt Rabbi Abahu in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, so the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda de Amar, Ben Elokechem le'emes v'yatziv lo yapsik. So Rabbi Abahu says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that you shouldn't make a hefsek at all between Hashem Elokechem and emes. Now, remember, in the Torah, right, it says Ani Hashem Elokechem asher yotzeisi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'osochem lelokim, Ani Hashem Elokechem. Period. Full stop. It doesn't say Ani Hashem Elokechem emes, right? Hashem Elokechem Emes, right? Emes is the first word of V'yatziv v'nachon, or at night from Ve'emuna Kozos, right? So it goes Emes V'yatziv v'nachon v'kayim v'yashar, and at night it's Emes Ve'emuna Kozos v'kayim Aleinu, right? We, however, at least Ashkenazim, right? We always say Hashem Elokechem Emes. We specifically connect Hashem Elokechem and Emes. We never have a division between that, and that's because of this. That halach is like Rabbi Yehuda, that we don't make a hefsek between Hashem Elokechem and Emes, right? So whereas in between the other paragraphs, right, Visharecha, right, and then V'hayim Shemoah, we can make a hefsek. You know, if we see somebody that we want to honor, we can greet them. But between Hashem and Elokechem, we go directly to Emes. We don't make anything in between. So my time, so Amar Rabbi Yabo, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my time to Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yabo now says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. How come? Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that you shouldn't make any separation between Hashem and Elokechem and Emes? So the Chsiv, because the pasuk says in Yirmiyah, it says V'Hashem Elokim Emes, that Hashem, our God, is true, and therefore we don't, we want to, bring those together, Hashem Elokechem and Emes, so it can match the pasuk of V'Hashem Elokim Emes. Fine, very good. Now the Gemara asks, Chosev Omer Emes or Eno Chosev Omer Emes. So once you said Hashem Elokechem Emes, do you then say Emes V'yatzav v'nachon v'kayim v'yashar, or do you just say V'yatzav v'nachon v'kayim v'yashar? Right? Do you then repeat Emes when you then start the next bracha, which is V'yatzav, or at night it will be Ve'emuna Kozos? So Amar Rabbi Yabo, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Chosev Omer Emes. So Rabbi Yabo says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, yeah, you bet. You repeat it again, and you say, so you say Hashem Elokechem Emes, and then I guess after the Chazan, the Shliach Tzibor says, finishes, then you go Emes V'yatzav v'nachon v'kayim v'yashar. Fine. Rabba Amar said, Rabba Eino Chosev Omer Emes. You don't go back and say Emes. You just go straight into V'yatziv v'nachon or Ve'emuna Kozos. Ha'udinachas Kamid Rabba, and there was one unfortunate young man who was by Rabba. Shamei Rabba de Amar Emes Emes Trezimne, and Rabba heard this young man say Emes twice. He said Hashem Elokechem Emes, and then he said Emes V'yatziv or Emes Ve'emuna. Amar Rabba, and Rabba said to him, Kol Emes Emes Tav Selahai. Wow, this guy has just been overtaken by so much truth. I guess he was saying it kind of sarcastically, i.e., what are you doing? Once you said Hashem Elokechem Emes, you're done. You said Emes, go straight into V'yatziv. Okay. Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, Kama ma'al yohashmaitza, d'chi asa Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Amar. So says Rav Yosef, how amazing the following teaching is, that when Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he said the following, that Amr b'ma'arava, they say in Eretz Yisrael, Arvis at Mariv, they say the following. Instead of saying the whole parsha of tzitzis, since tzitzis isn't, there's no mitzvah of tzitzis at night, so they want to sort of like satisfy everything. On the one hand, they don't want to completely skip the last paragraph of Shema, but at the same time, there's no mitzvah of tzitzis, so this is what they do. They say, Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta aleihem, Ani Hashem Elokechem Emes, period. Speak to the Bnei Yisrael and say to them, I am Hashem, your God, Emes. So basically they can kind of like allude to the third paragraph. So like they're not completely skipping the third paragraph, but at the same time, since there's no mitzvah of tzitzis at night, they don't say the whole paragraph. They basically skip the whole middle of it. So Abaye seemed to think that was really quite fancy. Amalei Abaye, now Abaye responds to Rav Yosef. Now you see often that Abaye responds to Rav Yosef. Abaye was a student of Rav Yosef, okay? So now, Rav Yosef, just the thing about Rav Yosef is, when he got older, he forgot much of his teaching. So often when Rav Yosef will say something, Abaye will kind of, either remind him of what he once said, or, kind of like, remind him that, or tell him like, wait, you're kind of messing something up. But over here, I don't know that this is necessarily because he was making a mistake or anything. I think Abaye is he's just kind of always there. Very, very, very often. When Rav Yosef says something, Abaye will be right there to respond. So anyway, so in this case, Abaye is responding, and he says, "My Ma'al Yusa, what's so great about this? The Amar Rav Kahana Amar Rav, didn't Rav Kahana say in the name of Rav, Lo Yaskil V'Mhiskil Gomer, that you shouldn't, you don't need to say the parsha of tzitzis at night because there's no mitzvah of tzitzis at night. But if you're gonna start it, so then finish it. So like, why are they saying, Daba B'nei Sof Martalem, and then basically skipping the whole middle? If they're gonna say it, say it. So and if you're going to say, yeah, but Vamarta Aleim, it doesn't really, you haven't said enough of it that it would count as having really started it, right? So therefore you can kind of start, you say V'amarta Aleim, you didn't technically really start it, so you can just basically skip the Hashem Elokechem Emes, but it's kind of nice because you're like kind of referencing the third paragraph of Shema. But V'amar Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak Amar Rav, Dabro B'nei Yisrael L'Havei Haschala. No, if you just say Dabro B'nei Yisrael, that wouldn't be considered starting it. V'amarta Aleim Havei Haschala. But once you say V'amarta Aleim, it's already considered having started. So once they're saying Dabro B'nei Yisrael V'amarta Aleim, you started it. So once you started, you should really be finishing it. So Papa Kasavi B'Marava V'amarta Aleim Nami Lo Havi Haschala. So Papa explains that in Eretz Yisrael, they also considered that V'amarta Aleim was also not yet considered Haschala. So they said Dabro B'nei Yisrael V'amarta Aleim, and then once they had already, been very nice, and they alluded to the parsha of Tzitzis, they then just quickly finished up with Ani Hashem Elokechem Emes. Okay. Adamar Vasulem Tzitzis. And in Eretz Yisrael, they felt that you had to say, it wasn't really considered having started until you said Vasulem Tzitzis. Amar Abai, says Abai, Hilkach, Ananas Chule Maschalinon. Therefore, we start saying the third paragraph of Shema here in Bavel. Since in Eretz Yisrael they do it, so we do it as well. But the Kamaschali B'Marava, because that's what they do in Israel. Now, V'chevim D'Aschalinon, Migmar Nami Gamin. But the difference is that once we start it, and we say, Dabra B'nei Yisrael V'amarta Aleim, we then say the complete paragraph of Shema, of Tzitzis at night, to Amar Rav Kahana Amar Rav Lo Yaskel B'm Hiskel Gomer, because Rav Kahana Amar Rav says you shouldn't start it, but if you started it, finished it, and we assume that V'amarta Aleim is already considered having started it, so therefore, we say the whole third paragraph. Okay, very nice. Chia bar Rav Amar. So said Chia bar Rav, Amar Ani Hashem Elokechem Tzarech Lomar Emes. So if you decided that you're going to say the third paragraph of Kriya Shema, right, the parsha of Tzitzis, well then you have to say the whole parsha, meaning at night, of course. So then you have to say the whole paragraph of Emes Ve'emuna Kozos V'Kayim Lin. You can't just jump to Michamocha, right? If you decide that you want to say parsha Tzitzis at night, Kol HaKavod, that's nice, but then you also have to say Ve'emuna Kozos, okay? Lo Amar Ani Hashem Elokechem Eino Tzarech Lomar Emes. But if you didn't say the paragraph of Tzitzis, and that's your right, you don't have to, so then don't say Emes Ve'emuna, okay? So the Gemara says, one second, how can he just not say Emes Ve'emuna, V'abai La'ad Kur Yitzias Mitzrayim, but doesn't he have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim? If you just go straight from, the second paragraph of Shema to Michamocha, so then you didn't mention Yitzias Mitzrayim at night. And we, of course, said in the Mishnah that we're currently learning, which started on Yud Beis and Yud Beis, that Mazkir Yitzias Mitzrayim Balelos, that there's a mitzvah to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim at night. Oh, so the Amar Hachi. Oh, so very cool. So he's saying the following: Modem Anachnu Lach Hashem Elokeinu. We thank you, God, Shotzeisanu Meretz Mitzrayim, that you took us out of Egypt, Uftisanu Beis Avadim, and you redeemed us from the house of slavery. Ve'asisa lanu nisim ugvuros alayam v'sharnu lach. And you did for us miracles and great things on the sea, and we are now singing to you. And then they continue, Michamocha ve'elem Hashem, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, nesegu ha'yisrael hashkivenu, and everything is fun. Okay, great. Amar Yeshua ben Karcha, Zakt Yeshua ben Karcha, Lamakadma Parsha Shema v'chulei. This is interesting. So it says Yeshua ben Karcha, so why, in our Mishnah, why does Shema come before Vayayim Shema? So we said, so that you'll first be Makabel all Malchus Shamayim, and then you'll be Makabel all mitzvos. And why does Vayayim Shema come before Parshas Tzitzis? Because Vayayim Shema counts is mitzvos, and mitzvos are both day and night, whereas Tzitzis is only during the day, it's not at night. Tani, Reb Shimon ben Yochai Omer, says Reb Shimon ben Yochai, B'dinhu she'yaktim Shema l'Vayayim Shema. It makes sense that you will first read Shema and then Vayayim Shema. Shezeh l'lmod v'zeh l'lamed. Because Shema is about learning Torah, whereas Vayam Shema is about teaching Torah. So it makes sense that first you'll learn, and then only after you learn, you will teach. Vayam Shema levayomer. And then it makes sense that Vayam Shema should come before Vayomer, Parshat Tzitzis, Shezet Lilamed, right? Because, right, as the Gilion changed it to Lilamed, that makes sense. Because Vayam Shema is about teaching, V'zeh la'asos. And whereas Parshas Tzitzis is to do, and you should, I guess the order would be first you learn, and then you teach, and then you do. So now the interesting thing is that I would think the order should be a little different. First you learn, and then you do, and then you teach after you have experience, right? So it's interesting that the Havamina is to say that first you learn, and then you teach, and then you do. But anyways, but then the Gemara says, Atu shma lilmod isbe lilamed velasos leisbe. But one second, are you telling me that the first paragraph only has about learning? It doesn't have about teaching and doing? V'aksiv v'shinantam ukshartam uchsavtam. But it says in the first paragraph not just v'dibartam bam, which would be to learn, but also v'shinantam, which is to teach, ukshartam, and to tie them around your arms, right? To wrap in tefillin, uchsavtam, to write them in mezuzahs. So it also includes both teaching and doing. Visu, and more so, vayam shema lelamed hu deizbe. It only has teaching velasos leisbe, but it doesn't have anything about doing. But it says, it talks about in Vayam Shema also about wrapping tefillin, talks about writing them on mezuzahs. So what's pshat? Why are we saying that, the first paragraph only has learning, the second paragraph only has teaching, the third paragraph only has doing? So Elahachi Kamar, this is what Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is really saying. Badinu shetikadem Shema levayam Shema. It makes sense that Shema would precede Vayam Shema. Shezeh lilmod ulilamed velasos, because Shema is all three. It's to learn, it's to teach, and it is also to do. Vayam Shema levayomer, and it makes sense that Vayam Shema would come before Vayomer. Shezeh yeshba lilamed velasos, because Vayam Shema is both to teach and to do. Vayomer ein ba ela laasos, whereas Vayomer only has to do. Bilvad. Okay, fine, very good. So that is Reb Shimon's opinion of why you should read Shema first, and then Vayam Shema, and then Vayomer. Fine, very good. Why doesn't Rabbi Shimon just learn it out from Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha? What's wrong with Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha's way of learning it? That Shema is Omach L'Shamayim, and then we do Ol Mitzvos. And then, mitzvos are both during the day and during the night, whereas tzitzis is only during the day. So Chadav Od Kamar, no. So Rabbi Shimon is saying, yes, I agree with what Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha is saying, but I'm also giving now an additional reason. So one reason is like Rabbi Shimon ben Korcha says that first b'mekabel ol malchus shamayim and then b'mekabel ol mitzvos. Ve'od, and now I'm giving another original answer, which is mishum deizbe ba'hane mile achran yasa, that it has these additional characteristics about Shema has to learn and to teach and to do. Vayam Shema has to teach and to do, whereas Vayomer only has to do. So Rav Moshe Yadav Vikar Kriyas Shema V'anach Tefillin V'tzali. So the Gemara says that Rav would he would wake up early, he would wash his hands, and he would read Kriyas Shema, and then he would put on tefillin after reading Kriyas Shema V'tzali, and then he would daven. Ve'echi Averachi. How could he do this? How could it be that he would first read Kriyas Shema and then only put on tefillin afterwards? V'atanya Chofer Kuch Lemeis. So there is a girsa that changes bakever to bakir, which actually makes more sense, right? So basically, if you have somebody who is digging a catacomb in a wall for a deceased person, right? So basically, the way that they used to do it back then, at least as far as I understand, is that they would basically build these openings in the wall. Right, they would dig out a catacomb in the wall, and then the person who died, they would kind of take the dead body and put it into this dug out area, and then they would wait for the flesh and stuff to just kind of rot and disintegrate and be eaten up, and then a year later or something like that, they would come back, collect the bones, and they would then bury the body in the ground. So we're saying here that if people are building this catacomb thing in the wall, okay. So pater mikriyas shema u'minatfila u'minatfilin u'mikol mitzvah samuros b'torah. So then if you're building this catacombs and you're pater, right? I guess osek min mitzvah, pater min mitzvah, and you're pater from all these mitzvahs. Okay. He gives man kriyas shema ola v'notel yadav u'maniach tefillin v'kor kriyas shema u'mispal. And then when Zman Kriyas Shema arrives, you stop what you're doing, you wash up, and you put on tefillin, and then you read Kriyas Shema, and then you daven. So, of course, I'm sure many of you are thinking, wait, didn't we just say that they're pater from all the mitzvahs, and then we're saying that when Zman Kriyas Shema comes, they'd say Kriyas Shema? That doesn't make sense. You're 100% right. It doesn't make sense. The Gemara says, Hagufa Kasha. What you just said makes no sense. Reisha Amar pater. In the Reisha, you said that they're pater from doing all mitzvahs. V'seifa chayiv. Yet the Seifa says that Zman Kriyas Shema comes, they go and they say Kriyas Shema. What do you mean? I thought they don't have to say Kriyas Shema. So Halo Kasha, Seifa betray, V'reisha b'chad. So the Reisha is talking about when there's only one person, and therefore he's patur from all the mitzvos. The Seifa is talking about when there are two people. So since there are two people, so one kind of keeps on digging, the other one goes up and says Kriya Shema, and davens and stuff, while the other one's still digging, and then they switch. Okay, fine, very good. So, but at the end of the day, it's still a problem for Rav, because Rav first said Kriya Shema and then he put on his tefillin, yet we have a brisa which is saying that first, right there, if they're digging this catacomb, Zman Kriya Shema comes, they go up and they first put on tefillin and then they read Kriya Shema. So the Rav seems to be doing things out of order. So the Gemara answers, Rav, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha Svirle, the Amar Omachu Shemaim Tchila v'achar kachol mitzvos. Oh, no problem. Rav is just holding like Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, because of course Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha says that when it comes to the order that we read the parshas of Kriya Shema, first you read the first parsha of Ve'ahavta because it's Omachu, right? First Shema and Ve'ahavta because it's Omachu Shemayim, and then comes Ve'ayam Shema, which is all mitzvos. So here also Rav was first reading Kriya Shema, which is to be Makabel Omachu Shemayim, and then he was putting on tefillin representing all mitzvos. But the Gemara says, one second. You can't just, apply Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha like this. Eimar the Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha la'akdim kriya la'asiya mishamasle. One second. I'll say that Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha's opinion is that when you're reading Kriya Shema, which chapter comes first? The chapter of Omachu Shemayim comes first, and then the chapter of all mitzvos. But I don't know that he would say, should I first read Kriya Shema or put on tefillin? Well, first do Kriya Shema because it's Omachu Shemayim. Unclear. So you can't just say that would be Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha's opinion. Visu, and another kasha. Misavar like Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha? Does Rav even hold like Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha to say that, first you should say Kriya Shema because it's, theoretically be Makabel Omachu Shemayim first, and then only afterwards be Makabel mitzvos by putting on tefillin. Ve'amar Rav Chia bar Ashi. Rav Chia bar Ashi said, Zimnin Sagin Avokim Nekamei Derav. Many times we were in front of Rav. Umaktim, he would wake up early. Umashi Yadeh, and he would wash his hands. Umivarech, and he would say Berachos HaTorah. Umasni Lon Pirkin, and he would teach us. Now, it's crucial that you skip the next 5 words. Umanach Tefillin V'Adakar Kriya Shema. Skip that. Do yourselves, do me a favor, do the whole world a favor. Please learn from my mistake. If you noticed, this is a different recording. I was listening to the original podcast of this daf in a cab, and it didn't make any sense. I just could not. I had no clue what I was talking about. I said I can't publish it in that form. I went back, relearned the daf, had to look at all the notes and stuff. Yeah, it's clear. Rashi didn't have these next 5 words. Other people also didn't have these next 5 words. The Gemara doesn't make sense with the next 5 words, which is why I'm now going back and re-recording this part of the shir. Okay, so do the whole world a favor and skip the next 5 words. Okay, basically. So again, he would wake up early. He would wash his hands. He would say Berachos HaTorah, and then he would teach us. Now, teaching being asiyah, right, which is what Rashi says, right? Rashi says, Alma maktimu laso, but right, I'm in the dibra maskul umasni pirkin, about 20 lines before the end. Alma maktim hu laasok batorah dehainu asiyah de mitzvah mikabel malchus shemaim. So we see that he was doing the asiyah of the mitzvah of teaching Torah before he was makabel malchus shemaim. So don't tell me that Rav first read Kriya Shema to be Makabel Malchus Shemaim, and then he put on tefillin to be Makabel mitzvos. What about the fact that Rav Chia bar Ashi is saying that all the time Rav would basically, the first thing he would do would be that he would teach us Torah, which means that he was doing an asiyah and he hadn't yet read Kriya Shema yet. So he was being makdim asiyah to be Makabel Malchus Shemaim. And if you're going to tell me, but Rav Chia bar Ashi isn't a proof. The reason why he didn't read Kriya Shema first was because it wasn't yet Zman Kriya Shema. That's why he didn't read Kriya Shema first. But if it was Zman Kriya Shema, he would have first been Makabel Malchus Shemaim with Kriya Shema and then taught. But Imkain, Maya Sadase Rav Chia bar Ashi. Well, if so, then if it's not Zman Kriya Shema, then why? What's the chiddush of Rav Chia bar Ashi? What's he telling us? That Rav would wake up early, it wasn't yet Zman Kriya Shema, and he would teach us. What else is he supposed to do? So what's he teaching us? So the Gemara answers, no. Actually, it wasn't yet Zman Kriya Shema. And because it was not yet Zman Kriya Shema, that's why he taught us right away, and he didn't yet read Kriya Shema. But if it was Zman Kriya Shema, then he would have first read Kriya Shema and then taught us, right? Okay, so what's the chiddush? Lafuke Mimanda Amar. Now change the next word from the Mishnah to the Talmud. Lafuke Mimanda Amar, the Talmud in Tzarech Levarech, Kamash Milan Da'af the Talmud Nam Tzarech Levarech. If you remember on Daf Yud Aleph Amid Beis, this exact Gemara was brought as a proof to teach that for Talmud you have to make a bracha. Right? There was a machlokes in Yud Aleph Amid Beis about what you have to make Berachos HaTorah for. Right? Only Mishnayos, only Medrash. Right? It was a whole thing. So this was brought as a proof to teach you that even for Talmud, you have to say Berachos HaTorah. And that's what Rav Chia Barashi was saying. He was saying that he would wake up early, he would wash his hands, he would make Berachos HaTorah, then he would teach us Sifra Devei Rav. And while he was teaching us, it wasn't just reading and translating. He was asking kashas, he was making chidushim, and which is what Talmud is, right? Asking questions, answering them, etc. So that's the chiddush of Rav Chia Barashi. But it was really before Zman Kriyat Shema. Okay, fine, very good. So then the Gemara says, "B'mikom makom kasha l'Rav." But at the end of the day, it's still a kasha on Rav because we have a brisa that says that when they were digging the catacombs, they would come up and they would first put on tefillin and then they would read Kriyat Shema, and yet we're saying that Rav first read Kriyat Shema and then put on tefillin, right? And we're saying theoretically, if it was Man Kriyat Shema in the story of Chia Barashi, he would have first read Kriyat Shema and then taught. So what's pshat? So the Gemara says, no. Really, Rav holds that first you should put on tefillin and then read Kriyat Shema, just like what by the catacomb. So how come he didn't do that here? How come first he read Kriyat Shema and then put on tefillin? The Gemara gives a funny answer. Shlucha da'avis. The guy who was bringing tefillin didn't yet arrive. It was Man Kriyat Shema. He said, what can I do? I don't have tefillin, so I'll read Kriyat Shema without tefillin. Better to do Kriyat Shema bismana and wait for the tefillin. But it wasn't because he holds that first you should put on you first read Kriyat Shema and then put on tefillin. No, really, you should put on tefillin and then Kriyat Shema, just like the brisa. Right? But there was it's funny how sometimes we can read into these sort of stories, anecdotes of the rabbis and come to conclusions that really were just technicalities. I think that there's a story with Rav Moshe that one time he was at a summer camp or something in the Catskills, and there was this like Golden Flow milk and New Square milk on the table or something like that. And he took the Golden Flow milk and Epis, I don't know, for some reason he put it aside and he took the New Square milk. So it was a whole to-do. Oh, Rav Moshe, he doesn't drink Golden Flow milk, right? So I guess the executives from Golden Flow reached out to Rav Moshe and he said, hey, like, what's the problem? He's like, oh, yeah, it was empty. There really wasn't much to learn there. But it's funny how we can kind of read into these things sometimes when over here it was just a matter of, oh, the guy didn't show up yet, that's why. Okay. Let's go. Shtiko weiter. Amru'ula sazula kol hakorei Kriyat Shema below tefillin. Anybody who reads Kriyat Shema without tefillin on, okay? Kilumeid edu sheker ba'atzmo. It's as if he's giving false testimony about himself, because the Kriyat Shema talks about how I'm going to tie it on my arms and I'm not even wearing tefillin. It's as if you brought a korban ola, right? An ola sacrifice where you put the whole thing on the mizbeach, and with that they would bring a flour offering. It's as if you brought the ola sacrifice without the accompanying flour offering. And Rashi says there in Ki'ilu Hikriv Ola B'lo Mincha, at the end of the Rashi there, Afakor Ve'enu Mekayim Enu Gomer Es HaMitzvah. Even somebody who reads Kriyat Shema, but he's not Mekayim what he's actually reading, so he's not completing the mitzvah. And the Gemara then concludes V'zevach B'lo Nechasim. It's also like you brought a sacrifice without its wine libations that accompany it. All right, Shkayach friends, peace out.